Alright, what's going on, everyone? So, I've been getting a lot of questions in a lot of my comments and some DMs, just mainly about they don't really understand really why we're climbing up this week. So, I'm just going to try and kind of break some of that down a little bit today, and kind of cover some big news that are coming to come out. I'm going to go ahead and continue to do my weekly update this weekend, but I just wanted to do a little bit of a midweek update. So, let's get into it. Alright, so I got a couple of reasons for really why we're climbing. So, the first one's kind of seasonality. Of course, the market kind of moves in waves. You have big waves, you have smaller waves, and inside those smaller waves, you have even smaller waves. So everything just kind of moves in like that wave formation. So just the market can't continue to get pinned down. It can't go just straight down. It has to. It's going to have some of those bear market rallies that you've been hearing constantly. So looking at this, if you look at this chart that I included up here at the top right, of course, this only goes to 2014, but it's for midterm election years. Not even counting inflation or anything, just kind of just basic midterm election years. On average, midterm election years have been pretty bearish, actually. Right up until the actual midterm election, you can see right before November, you can see where the actual stock market kind of starts to trend back upwards, as you head into the holiday season, December and January. So, I just wanted to throw out a little bit of a fact. The year after midterm elections, the S&P 500 has actually completely outbeat the entire market by 16.3% on return. Am I saying that we're going to get that amount of return? No, I am not saying that, because obviously this is not counting inflation or the global recession possible that we have going on right now. So that's just mainly just for midterm elections. The second one I got is the monthly OPEX. I talked about a lot about this in my last week update. I also talked about right here on the bottom right, I included the SPY flow summary. I'm not really going to talk too much about that today, just mainly because I talked a lot about it in my last video. So if you're kind of wondering what that is, you can go back and refer to that. And then we have the earnings reports. We've been having earnings reports so far. Banks have been coming in really hot. Now, the one thing I really want to talk about is for bank earnings. You see Q3 and Q4 earnings are going to be a lot different. I expect a lot more pain in Q4. I don't expect that many as many beats or as strong of beating earnings in Q4, just mainly because sometimes it takes that inflation and inflation rate hikes and layoffs to really hit that data and everything, especially for revenue and stuff. So just keep an eye out on that. But one thing I really want to kind of point out is a lot of these banks that have reported their earnings so far, they've been really talking about how they've been kind of taking a lot of their cash and everything. They've been increasing their cash positions for the loans, just mainly because if people can't pay their loans off, then of course somebody's gonna have to bail that out. So just keep an eye on the rest of those. And then one big thing I want to talk about is yesterday, major Apple news that really kind of hurt the market going into close. We had Apple cut iPhone 14 Plus production less than 2 weeks after its own debut. Honestly, I've been saying this for a really long time, ever since Steve Jobs died. Apple really hasn't had any tremendous increase in their production or changes in their iPhones. iPhone production makes up 41% of their entire revenue. So this is why this is really serious. So why does this matter in general? Why does all this Apple news matter? Why does AMD's cutting their future revenue by over $1 billion really matter? I will tell you exactly. So AMD cut their future revenue forecast by over $1 billion. AMD does a lot of business with Apple. They make a lot of their the chips for their processing and everything to make their the phones, the iPads, and the laptops work a lot faster. So if AMD possibly is cutting revenue, that's bearish for Apple, just mainly because Apple does a lot of business with them, and that possibly could be hurting their revenue. Well, we've been hearing a lot of stuff in the last couple of weeks, mainly just because of Apple and their demand production and everything. Well, this crap hit the fan, and of course, Apple makes up 5% of the S&P 500, 13% of the entire NASDAQ. Why am I still bullish on Apple? So, I'm still bullish on Apple just mainly because you have all of this information and stuff, but this isn't the first thing. We've been hearing Microsoft, they even had they had more quiet layoffs on Monday. So, a lot of these companies aren't really even announcing a lot of their stuff that they're happening. I mean, I'm sure some other companies are cutting their production and stuff. They're trying to get ready mainly for what's to come. And it's not going to be pretty as long as inflation continues to keep going up or being persistent. It's too broad based. It's too bad. So um, I'm still bullish on Apple just mainly because of how big the company is and how big, I mean, just insanely huge they are and how they operate. So um, short term bearish, still long term going to be problems, but Apple's still the main leader. One thing I wanted to call out, props to Netflix yesterday afternoon. Their earnings came out, they crushed it. They beat their earnings per share by almost a whole dollar. Now the revenue missed a little bit, but their main thing is in Q3 they added over almost 1.5 million new subscribers, over double. So props to Netflix on their trying to restructure everything and try to. I know they were trying to do some stuff in Asia and everything about with their new subscription packages and stuff. I think they were doing a $7.99 package for with free with ads and stuff. So props to Netflix, and then we're gonna get into some technical analysis here. All right, so we're gonna get into a little bit of technical analysis here. So we saw a couple days ago on SPY, we really gapped up mainly and really pushed hard against this right above this trend line that this resistance trend line that we were battling with. Now we hit this line, and I'll get to this point right here. It's 375, and why we couldn't get above that. But the main thing today is look at S&P 500. It has completely fell down, and it is back now below that resistance line that it first was on in the first place. So this is a bearish, and that's just kind of confirms a false breakout. Sometimes I mean, there's a multiple reasons of why this could happen, but looking at Apple as well, you've been just constantly just walking it down here. And yesterday before these news comes out, we were right here about to break out of this resistance. And then, I mean, I'll tell you right now, a lot of this news that comes out, it does not come out at the wrong time. I mean, you have to picture this. They've known about this data or this news for probably, I mean, since the beginning of the production and everything. Since the beginning, they knew that they were going to be cutting their production. So a lot of this news comes out very strategically. Now, what I really want to point out here is SPY. All right, so here is SPX, the S&P 500. So right here, you have we ran up, we gapped up the other day, consolidated, and then gapped back up over this. Here's this rising wedge that we've been continually just kind of trending up in. Now watch out. We gapped up right at the top of this rising wedge, could not break out above it, and just continually trend until we found some support. And then today, man, we just completely broke down. Caught some support from this line, but I mean, this gap fills looking like we could be heading down to fill it, especially if the S&P 500 can't get some grounding. And then here's SPY, same way, same reason. So it's not looking good. It was looking bullish for the last couple of days until mainly this news and everything came out. Remember, we have some big earnings this afternoon. It may not sustain that well in the market, especially the way that the market is leaning right now. Now, short term, remember Friday is still monthly OPEX, so we could still get a little bit of a push, but it is not looking good as of now. Now, you look at the MACDs on here, on the SPYs. I mean, you can see that it's just slowly coming down. We could get a little bit of a bid here and start trying to bounce back up, but it's going to take a lot, especially since we completely broke out and then completely fell back through. So just keep an eye on these trend levels, and that's going to be all for the video today. It's just a little bit of a recap. I'll cover more in the weekly update. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. thank you to everyone that is subscribed or does like the videos. If you have any more questions, leave some comments down below. I'll get to them as soon as possible. And everybody just have a good rest of your week.